What's happening, people? I hope you're all well. I hope you've all had a good Christmas, and I hope that whatever you're doing for New Year's, you enjoy that as well. I just wanted to make a quick video to talk about Deontay Wilder. So, boxing fans are really reactionary. Deontay Wilder, as most of you know, lost to Joseph Parker on the 23rd. He lost to Joseph Parker wide by unanimous decision. And I don't think that was a good performance from Deontay Wilder. I'm not saying I think it was a good performance, but that doesn't necessarily mean Deontay Wilder's finished. He might be. But in my opinion, I need to see one more performance like that to say, yeah, he's done. The reason being is because boxing fans tend to be so reactionary. You know, when Anthony Joshua lost to Alexander Usyk, all of a sudden he was terrible. Then when Joseph Parker lost to Joe Joyce, he wasn't looking so good. People saying he's not that great. People always tend to write fighters off. People always tend to write fighters off. And at the end of the day, it's not so clear cut. Because I remember before this Saudi card happened, people were saying that Anthony Joshua would get wiped out by Deontay Wilder in 1 or 2 rounds. And I'm willing to bet that the perception has changed drastically because boxing fans are so reactionary. But in my opinion, it's not so clear cut. Styles make fights. You just need to look at the fact that Andy Ruiz got beaten by Joseph Parker. Anthony Joshua beat Joseph Parker. But Andy Ruiz beat Anthony Joshua. So, just because Deontay Wilder had a bad day at the office against Joseph Parker doesn't mean that he necessarily loses the Anthony Joshua fight. Now, for me, that fight may be the fight that never happens now. That might be one of the fight, like Lennox Lewis versus Riddick Bowe in the pros. It might be the fight that never was. But really and truthfully, the reason Deontay Wilder lost that fight was because of a number of posturing factors. And I actually made videos about Joseph Parker potentially winning the fight before the fight. And for me, it was the case of Deontay Wilder's age, 38 years old, the fact that he's taken a lot of punishment in the Tyson Fury fights, and the fact that he'd been so inactive. Joseph Parker hadn't fought stellar opposition, but he'd been active. He's younger, I think he's 31. He's fast. He has technical skill, technical prowess, superior technical prowess to Deontay Wilder, superior ring IQ. And when you take in all those factors, put it all together and work it out, you have to come to the conclusion that Joseph Parker was a live underdog in that race. So I'm not surprised that Joseph Parker won the fight. People fall in love with punching power. It's like Richard Dwyer says, knockouts cause amnesia. When someone's knocking people out, people tend to overlook the flaws. But here's the thing. Deontay Wilder, for me, did he look worse? Maybe a little bit, but not massively worse. Deontay Wilder, to me, didn't look massively worse than normal. He really didn't. That is how Deontay Wilder fights. Now, if you look at Deontay Wilder's resume, the man's fought around, not far off 50 times. He's in the 40 to 50 bracket in terms of his total bouts as a professional boxer. So let's say he's fought around 50 times. And his style, typically speaking, is to not do very much, to time his opponent, to work out his opponent's timing. And then when he thinks he's sufficiently worked out what his opponent's going to do at a certain time, he will then either punch in between with the right hand. So he worked out what his opponent's going to do, and he lands his right hand in between what his opponent is doing. So if his opponent, let's say, is going to throw a jab cross, the opponent might throw the jab, and before he lands his cross, Deontay Wilder's already worked out what he's going to do, and he lands his straight right hand. Or Deontay Wilder will wait for you to finish, and then he will hit you with the straight right hand. But while Deontay Wilder's working out all the different factors and what you're going to do and when you're going to do it. He's always inactive. The only reason he was active in the Tyson Fury fights is because Tyson Fury had the dimensions that forced Wilder to be active. It forced him to work. But if take away the Fury fights, and this is how Deontay Wilder fights. He did it against Luis Ortiz. He did it against Artur Spilka. He did it against Joe Washington. Now, the point I'm making here is if you're going to fight like that, you're relatively inactive, you're sitting on that back foot, and you're waiting for the right hand. And you do it, and you've got a great right hand and it lands all the time. Now, if you have had over 50 if you've had around 50 professional bouts as a professional boxer, and that is your style, just due to the laws of probability, you're going to have a fight at a time where that right hand doesn't land. It's just the law of probabilities. Like, if that is your style, that you're going to just not do very much, you're going to just, you know, flick a few jabs out there, avoid your opponent's shots, take a look at your opponent, work out what your opponent's going to do when they're going to do it, and then once you work that out, you're going to start throwing the right hand, and you've had over 50 fights. There's going to be a fight where it doesn't work, and that was the Joseph Parker fight. And this is why I was saying in my live coverage of that fight, he needs to start racking up the rounds, because that's not a good strategy. Eventually that strategy will be found out. You know, there's nothing wrong with having that right hand there, but you need to also be racking up the rounds as an insurance policy. So if that right hand doesn't land, you can win it on your jab. And I've seen Deontay Wilder win a fight on his jab when he won the WBC title against Bermane Stiverne. So I don't get why there must be some serious miscommunication or something wrong in that corner to think that he could just win every single fight like that. Because that is a recipe for disaster. But here's what I'm saying. Is Deontay Wilder finished? Deontay Wilder, for me, is what he is. But I don't think he's drastically worse than he was before. I still think if you put him in there with Andy Ruiz, he will beat Andy Ruiz. If you put him in there with Anthony Joshua, that's touch and go. I would not be surprised, you know, I would not be surprised if he knocked Anthony Joshua out. Because if he lands that right hand, he can knock anyone out. I would not be surprised if he knocked out honestly, I would not be surprised if he knocked out Alexander Usyk after losing the Joseph Parker fight. I'm serious. If he lands that right hand correct, he will knock a horse out. He will knock anyone out. So, in my opinion, Deontay Wilder is not finished unless he has another performance like that. I'm not going to say he's done yet. Just like I don't think, you know, and because people are so reactionary, one performance and it's done. You know, when Anthony Joshua lost to Andy Ruiz, a lot of people were slaying him, laughing at. I was actually saying, you know, he can come back from it. People were just so reactionary. Like let me guess, Joseph Parker's the man now. I don't think so. I think Joseph Parker is going to go on and achieve similar to what he would have achieved if the Wilder fight never happened, because styles make fights. I still think there are plenty of fights out there that Joseph Parker will go and lose, probably by stoppage. Styles make fights. Anyway, what do you guys think about what I said here? Is Deontay Wilder finished? I'm not going to say he's done just yet. I don't think he's got long left, but I don't think he's miles behind what he's always been. Let me know what you think. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, hit the notification bell so you get a notification when I make a new video. If you appreciate my work and want to leave a donation, link for that's also in the description. With that, enjoy the rest of your day. See you on the next one.